What's going on, everybody? This is Afro Think Tank. Today, I want to talk about Pan-Africanism and why Pan-Africanism, the team of Pan-Africanism, is winning and always wins because we're a bigger team, right? And let me explain, right? All of us black people who don't identify with the Pan-African ideologies. Keep in mind, I want y'all to understand Pan-Africanism is an action, not like just a word. So like I said, just because you call yourself Pan-African don't make you a Pan-African. It's the actions that you take, because Pan-Africanism is a motion, it's a movement. All right, okay, so it's not just a thing that it's not a flag, it's not a sign, it's an actual object. You're trying to complete an objective, right? And that's to connect with your brothers and sisters economically and socially, and have a communal way of life with your people, what I'm saying, on earth, so that we can benefit everybody, right? So let me tell you what makes Pan-Africanism so great and why it is that we win, because our team is bigger, right? If you subscribe to the idea of unifying with human beings based off the core of the connection of the Africanness that we have within us, the being African, that thing, if you submit yourself to being African, right? Because we always talk about titles and what we like to call ourselves. I swear, as human beings, we like to just make names up, right? But the bigger you are, the better you are. The numbers dominate. We all know, like basic math, everybody wants to have more numbers than the other person, right? So as a Pan-African, my squad are all Africans, meaning it's not just like FBA, right? FBA, people who subscribe to the term FBA, right? Foundational Black American, right? That discludes other Africans. That means that your FBA team is small, because it doesn't even include all African Americans, even though some of them like to push it, or they like to take that label and try to broad swipe all Africans who live in America. FBA is only recognized and identified and accepted by a small number of people. So that means the group is small. So that means you have to be a part of the group. And if you're a part of that group, if you win, you win. But anybody outside of that group, when they win, you don't get credit, because that's not part of your group, right? If you're ADOS, Freedman, right? If ADOS or Freedman specifically, because they fall in line with the FBA, the specific titles that make them smaller and weaker, by the way, all right, and less relevant because they don't have numbers. No one respects small groups that have numbers. You let them yap, but nobody really regards them, right? They don't get taken seriously by the greater powers in the bigger game, right? So these little groups, unless somebody in their individual group win, they're not winning at all, right? And they can't take credit for anything else another group is doing, right? Or the greater group is growing, because they a lot of them have decided to disavow themselves from the greater groups in order to be a concentrated group for some or many specific reasons, right? That they have chosen. But as a Pan-African, all Africans are on my team. Every single African is on my team. That means when an African wins in anything, I won. So if a Nigerian excels in education, guess what? That's a black person that excelled in education. That's an African who excelled in education. That means me as an African who subscribes to the Pan-African, global African ideology, that person's on my team. They won. When the Olympics happens, right? And it's summertime, and we talk about track and field, because I'm a Pan-African, a global African, and every African's on my team in the Olympics, we basically already won. Track and field, it'd be like one white person, two white people, the rest be black. So as far as I'm concerned, I've already won. Long distance, when them Kenyans and Tanzanians get out there, I'm rooting, I'm like this, let's go. Why? Because I'm a Pan-African. And because those are my brothers and sisters, when they win, I win. You get me? All right, I'm using the Olympics as an example because that's something that we all know, right? So no matter what person from any African country does in the Olympics, I win. Even if it's America versus Jamaica versus Nigeria versus, Ghana, right? In the 50 meter, 100 meter. Guess what? It truly, at the end of the day, don't matter. Now, internally, yeah, of course I want my Americans to win, right? But when the Jamaicans win, do you think I'm upset? No. I'm like, we won, right? it doesn't really matter at the end of the day, because if you black, you win. You're on my team, right? So as a Pan-African, anything that happens in the black world is my business, right? Because that's my club, right? So I care about what happens in Tanzania. I care about what happens in Canada. Where are black people in Canada? I care about my black people in the Arabian Peninsula, right? That we call the Middle East. I care about the Africans in South Africa and the things that they're going through. I care about the Nigerians in Nigeria and the situations that they're going through. I care about Central Africa and the things that they're going through. I care about all these francophone countries, and I take it personally when white people try to tell my black people what they're supposed to do with their country and with their money and with their people. I care. It's personal to me because they're on my team. And in turn, other people who view the world and view us black people the same way, they also care about when African Americans are being disenfranchised in America. They actually care at what happens when African Americans get unjustly killed by the law enforcement in America. They care. And then I recognize that care, I acknowledge that care, and I reciprocate that care when they need that same care and understanding. I use my voice to elevate those who don't have a voice, right? And in turn, then hopefully they do the same for us when we don't have a voice. Because in this world, there's this fight, this constant fight that we're always fighting against everybody else who wants to take everything from us, want to be us, but don't want to be us at the same time. I need a bigger squad to fight those guys, and only Pan-Africanism can do it. FBA, that little group, is not going to be able to fight global white power, global Pan-Europeanism, Chinese Communist Party, right? They're not going to be able to fight none of that. Too small and insignificant. ADO's not going to be able to fight that. Too small and insignificant, right? Freedmen not going to be able to do any of that. Too small and insignificant. The Hebrew Israelites, right? Hebrew Israelites, too ignorant and insignificant, right? The Islam, was the Nation of Islam. I don't know what their problem is, because if anybody could have done it, they could have did it, but they're kind of stuck somewhere. They need to evolve, as far as I'm concerned. But I feel like as an organization, they have shown the best example, but I feel like because of old leadership, they're still running things the old way. And until new leadership takes over, things are just gonna be running that way. But either way, they're still a good example, you know? But even they display some tendencies of Pan-Africanism, right? Some of them. I mean, I know I know Nation of Islam got some funny things going on with them, but whatever, it is what it is. Nothing's perfect, right? So as a Pan-African, I'm always winning. I don't have any ego for my black people. I don't mind seeing another black person win, right? Some of you people who get so mad about seeing other black people win, you be the same people that get mad when your own people win. You be the same people that get mad when your brother or your sister win. Some of y'all be the same ones that get mad even when your wife or your husband win, and it ain't you get jealous and mad. Like, y'all be the same archetype no matter what situation you put in. Most of these people who got these issues with these other people and making excuses of why they want to be jealous or why they want to gatekeep certain things, right? Gatekeeping gates that they don't own, gatekeeping gates they didn't build, right? And a gate usually leads to something. It ain't nothing behind us for us to be gatekeeping anything. We're fluid, all right? Africans, we are outside of Africa, we are fluid, all right? The African diaspora itself is the country. It's a mobile country. We're a mobile, nomadic, worldly group of people. Our homeland is Africa, and that's the only homeland we have. Every place else is just nomadic places we're roaming around as a mobile, moving nation of Africans, all right? But all I'm saying is, if you want to be on a team that wins and you want to feel good every time you see somebody on your team win, you got to join the Pan-African movement. You got to, right? You see, we got issues in Africa, right? We got our countries trying to be pit against each other by the white power structure that's trying to start a war in Africa because they got a whole war that's destroying Europe, and they want to make sure that everybody else go to war too. They don't want to be the only ones messing their countries up. They don't want to be the only ones that got to reconstruct entire nations. They want us to be reconstruction, using all our resources to reconstruct our nations after war the same way as them, because they know while they're out there reconstructing their European nations, we will be elevating and rising and continuing to rising and unifying with each other as a group of people. That's what they're trying to stop. They need to slow down our economic process. They need to slow down our information gathering. They need to slow down our social networks that's slowly connecting piece by piece. They need to slow that down. And the best thing to slow that down is a war. But guess what's being used right now to combat that, to combat the old ideologies that would have easily slipped us Africans into those easy wars when listening to those snakes in the grass. All right, it's Pan-Africanism that's stopping us. That's stopping some of these guys from doing what they're doing. It's Pan-Africanism that stopped that stopped the Tinubu from grandstanding and trying to go to war so he can show that he's big and tough. It was the Nigerian Congress and the Senate that said, nah, we're not going there and fighting our brothers and sisters. It's the people on the ground in Nigeria that's like, nah, we're not for that. We're not going to support that. And I guarantee you they wouldn't do it. I'm trying to tell you. Y'all, people who don't know Nigeria, y'all guys don't understand. They are not in the mood to go to war and die for Tinubu, especially after them last elections, right? Especially after them last elections. But anyway, that's the past, I think, you know. But either way, it's the spirit of Pan-Africanism. It's the new attitude of the African, because it's really in the head, guys. The war is in the head. World War III started already, guys. You guys think war is everybody just in the trenches, even though right now Europeans are entrenched. What do y'all understand what trench warfare is? Do y'all understand what kind of war is being fought in Russia and Ukraine? It's one of the most archaic, barbaric, useless forms of war. Thousands and thousands and thousands of baby-making, working-age white European boys are killing each other right now for a bunch of old, rich white people and their big-ass egos. Money, power. That's it, right? But while Babylon is falling, they want us to fall too. What happened when we kicked them out of Namibia? What did they do? They messed up the farmland, right? Every time we kick them out, what do? They scorch earth. They ruin things. They don't accept defeat. Understand, Europeans will never accept defeat. You're going to have to finish them economically or with war. I'm not advocating for it, but if they come our way, we got to go their way. Alabama slammer, folding shit off the top rope, throw their hat in the air, cuckoo, let's go. All right? But black people and Pan-Africanism, which was on display in Alabama, not one of y'all knew if that security officer was a foundational black American. Not one of those African people, not the boy that jumped in the water to go help his brother. Do you think he was like, I wonder what kind of black that is? Do you think that when the black Avengers came from the top rope, do you think they were saying, man, are you sure these are African American? I want to make sure before I go and defend against those white folks, I want to make sure that those are freedmen. Do you think that happened or no? Or what did they see? What was automatic? Black. All they saw was black. They saw red white people attacking black, and they activated. They formed Voltron and whipped some ass, right? And who's supporting this right now? You got every African on YouTube. You got every Caribbean on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram. They're all doing the same thing with us African Americans, making fun of them red folks in solidarity with black folks. We making the funniest memes in the world, creating new holidays. We done got the t-shirts. I already seen a tattoo, and we move quick, right? We all felt that. Every African on the planet that saw that, right? That saw what African Americans do, how we set the example in the age of information where everything's recorded. Everybody, total Pan-African solidarity about this Alabama slamming, this Montgomery battle that we won. Everybody. That's Pan-Africanism. We all won that day. We all won. And the whole world saw it. And it was nothing but really an allegory for the new day. The new day of the new African, the Pan-African, AKA the global African. Because this is our planet. We populated this planet. We made it so everybody else can have a spot on this globe. So we deserve some respect, and they need to put some respect on our name. But the only way we're going to have respect is if you big. And you got the numbers. That's what Pan-Africanism is. And the thing is, words have power, right? So if your name is FBA, right? Foundational Black American. Yeah, it comes off the mouth pretty cool, right? But you took the power out the words because you said foundational Black American. When was you ever American? What part of that don't you get? You ain't American. You're African. Period. But your power is in that African. Black means African. Black is African. So if you say black, you say African, right? But you gotta have that African because that word African is where the power comes from. When that boy, 16-year-old boy, jumped in the water, pulled his whole body out the water, and still had enough energy to fight them white boys, that was African power. That was African power. When dude came off the top rope with the folding chair, that was African power. All right? It wasn't no foundational American anything. All right? American descendants of slaves. I'd be damned if my people who were enslaved, because I'm tired of people calling us slaves, we were Africans that were enslaved, prisoners of war, prisoners of economic war. All right? When we were enslaved, right? Not slaves. So I don't take any title that got the word slave in it, because you're still attaching yourself to the white power system that enslaved. You're identifying with what happened to us instead of identifying with what you are, right? And what you are is more than what happened to you. What you are has more power than what happened to you. As an African, the word African and being African has more power than having some American descendant of slaves. You understand? So first African got the power. Pan just means world. So black, worldly, African, black man is about as powerful as you're gonna get. And our group is the biggest. So if you wanna be a part of the winning team, if you wanna be a part of the biggest team, you wanna be a part of the team that got the resources, that got the intelligence, they got the numbers, they got the land masses to protect you, insulate you, and have your back, you gotta join the Pan-African movement. Because it's the only movement that's gonna liberate us as a people. Anyway, that's all I got to say. It's Afro Think Tank. Learn something, teach something. I'm out.